Subscribe to my channel for interesting stories.
Story 1. My ex married her next boyfriend pretty quickly after breaking up. So quickly that apparently he didn't know the name of my ex's daughter. Dated a girl for 7 months. It was really intense. And then out of the blue, she breaks up with me with no real explanation. Shocking at the time, but I got over it pretty quickly. It happens in life. Around a year later, a Facebook memory pops up, one she had commented on. I saw a wedding dress in the thumbnail of her profile, so I click on it. Okay, she's married now. That was quick. I clicked on the profile of her new husband just out of curiosity and saw nothing really, just a seemingly normal dude. But then I saw a video he posted called something like My 4 Daughters. It was 4 young girls on a merry-go-round, one of whom I recognized as my ex's daughter. So obviously this guy had 3 of his own. In the video, this guy sees his daughters pass one by one on the merry-go-round, and he says their names as they pass. Hey Jenny, hey Maria, hey Sarah. Until his new stepdaughter comes around, suddenly it's, hey, you. I had no fucking clue what to make of this. How does one not know the name of their newest stepchild? My ex had 50-50 custody with her first husband, so it's not like she wasn't ever around. Like I said, I was only with my ex for 7 months, and for 4 of those months, I had seen her daughter every other weekend. And I remembered her name since the first time it was told me. Too many questions popped up in my head, so I decided to forget about it completely and once again move on. My ex appeared in my Facebook memories maybe like 3 or 4 years later, and it looked as though she wasn't married anymore. So there's that. I just hope her kid turned out okay. From whatever the situation was, she was a good kid. Story 2. I love her. We had been together for over 10 years. She was right to leave me. And she's been thriving since she got up the good sense to leave me. I still love her. But I'm not so selfish that I'd try to get her back. Still, I often think of her. The way she laughed, her smile, the way she couldn't wait to tell me about her day. Just the way she talked to me. Like no one else would understand. True love only comes around once in a lifetime, fellas. Don't fuck it up. I will always love you. Story 3. I'm jealous of my boyfriend's family. I 20F have been dating my 22M boyfriend for over 2 years. It's the best relationship imaginable. Nothing is wrong, and everything is perfect. Quite literally a fairy tale story. But there's one problem. I have a pretty rocky relationship with my family ever since I told them about him. I come from a culture where it is frowned upon for any female to have contact with a male, but my family always said I can come to them if I get one and how they'll be supportive, and boy, how stupid was I to believe them. Long story short, they didn't click, and it resulted in them almost forcing me to break up with him, which now I'm keeping my relationship a secret from them. My family also have this weird thing where they're oddly possessive of me despite them not actually liking me much, which resulted in multiple friendships being broken because of their threatening, which made me have trust issues and incapable of talking to a friend about my situation. But I managed to keep a lovely friend group of 4 girls because I kept it as low as I possibly could have. But I generally don't have the courage to talk to them about any of this. Nonetheless, the real thing is, I have a mom that has major anger issues which resulted in me getting punished for almost anything. So I barely can talk to her about anything or vent to anyone from my family. And when I see the way my boyfriend's family is, I get jealous and I envy that. I've never told him about it, and it definitely never affected us. I just wanted to get it off my chest since I have no one from my family to talk to. And he's like my shell. Now I know most will say, just move out or get married. You're an adult. Sadly, that doesn't work for me since I have to have my father's approval if I need to get married. And my father is refusing to accept him just because he doesn't like him and doesn't actually have a valid reason. And moving out is also impossible since I still haven't enrolled in university or even I am allowed to get a job. So all my money comes from my family and I only get around a few dollars every other day, which leaves me here being stuck with an unsupportive family that'll probably do God knows what if they find out I'm still talking to him. And I envy the life my boyfriend has, since he has the most loving and caring mother and father. Story 4. My husband is an amazing dad. My 30F husband, 30 is such an amazing dad. When I was pregnant with our son, 5 May, he was so scared that he was going to be a bad parent. He's a construction worker, so he starts work early. I get our son ready and take him to school in the mornings, and my husband picks him up in the afternoons. My husband's so awesome. Even when he's exhausted from work, he still manages to find more energy to have fun with our son. He's always helping me around the house, and he still encourages me to have me time after work. He was so supportive right after our son was born. I remember he was doing everything around the house, all the cooking, cleaning, housework, shopping, and he was always helping with our son. He's awesome. I read stories about women whose husbands or boyfriends become non-existent after the baby is born, and I feel so lucky that my husband was so supportive. There were times when he came to bed and he looked so exhausted. I felt so terrible because he was letting me rest and relax while he did almost everything around the house. I remember one night he looked so exhausted. I felt terrible. I was almost crying. I apologized for not doing anything, and he hugged me so tightly. He said, "Honey, you gave birth to our son. I wish I could be doing more to help. I love you so much and you need to heal." That made me feel so loved. He was doing just about everything, and he still thought he could be doing more. I love my husband so much, and sometimes I don't feel like I deserve him. Every day I try to show him that I appreciate everything he does for us. Like I said before, I read about couples on here who fall out of love with each other after the baby was born, but my husband and I are still madly in love after 10 years. Story 5. I'm a boy. I love being a boy. And this my best story of boys just being boys. I, 20 me, grew up in the worst neighborhood in my city by far. Smoking, stealing, and causing trouble all over the city were our casual activities when we were 11, 15, yo. That was our entertainment XD. One thing we did a lot in particular was fighting kids from other neighborhoods. It's not like a snow fight, but real fights with sticks, rocks, and even knives, basically anything that could be used as a weapon. One day I was walking with 2 of my friends, and a group of kids from the op neighborhood saw and approached us. They wanted to pick up a fight with us. There was 5 of and only 3 of us. And with no way really to run, we had no choice but to fight back, and whatever happens, happens. Just as the fight began, a random guy about my age joined the fight on our side out of nowhere. We somehow managed to beat the shit out of them 4v5. They ran, we chased them a bit, but we let them get away as they were much closer to their neighborhood than ours. We thanked the guy and asked him why he did that. He said it wasn't a fair fight, and he just wanted to help. Fast forward a few months, I'm walking by myself and see one guy fighting 2 other guys. After watching just for a little while, I realized it was the guy who helped us. I jumped in. I helped him, and we managed to beat the shit out of him too, XD. He obviously remembered me and thanked, and we went our separate ways. And since our city is kind of big, and he lives far from where I live, I don't really see him that much. We met once again in a park, and we sat there and had a 2-3 hours deep conversation. He is a really cool guy. Now, after at least 6 years, I see him once or twice every few months. We say hi or no to each other if we are far away. The cool thing is, to this very day, I don't know his name and he doesn't know mine. And none of us is bothered by that fact. We just vibe together. You know, just boys being boys. Story 6. I don't want any more kids. I, 34F, and my husband, 37M, have 2 daughters, 18F and 15F. My husband's cultural values makes him want to have a ton of kids, while I, on the other hand, just want to stay having 2 kids. We accidentally got pregnant when I was only 16 with my first daughter, again at 19 with my second daughter. A few years later, he asked if we could have another baby. I said no. It's hard for me to handle 2 children mostly by myself while he is at work all day. I love my girls, but I don't think we're in the right financial situation to bring in another life. He disagrees, and so does his family. This happened when I was only 21. My daughters were only 5 and 2 at the time, and I didn't feel like I could support them enough as it was, never more having to take care of another baby. He recently asked me if we could have another baby, and I again refused, saying I don't want any more children, but I feel like I should take in what he also wants. He's always traveling for work and leaves me alone with the kids. Even though they're older now and are more mature, bringing in another baby would just make it harder for the both of us. He hasn't been home most of the time, and I feel if we do have another baby, he wouldn't be able to bond with it and really be a father to her. Story 7, Ghost Town. One of the biggest and most impactful crises today is the demographic crisis. But this is a consequence of living in free countries where people have the freedom to choose the life they want, something we fought for, and something that should be protected. But as Sophocles said, nothing great comes without a curse, and one of those curses is depopulation and aging. I sometimes travel to my grandparents' village, where we celebrate traditional festivals like Christmas, where the village is full of people. Not many, but there are people. Imagine in the future seeing it empty, not a single soul. What was once a traditional village now has only the sound of the wind. And not just in the villages, imagine the number of schools that will have to close or other things aimed at young people in cities. Another thing we might see is a lot of abandoned houses. Think that there are countries that are going to lose half their population and most of their young population. The effects of this are going to be observable, and I believe we're going to miss a lot of things, even in the cities. Imagine what it's like to see your school completely or almost empty, among other things that were part of your life. But as I said at the beginning, this is freedom. It has negative but also positive consequences. Imagine the people in those countries where no one has the right to choose the life they want. Story 8. I might be an electrical man. Literally, the paranormal is me. My body is filled with electricity. It's not static electricity. When I touch things like plates, showers, steel, water, even wood, I can feel the shock and electricity. Sometimes it gives a shock as well. My school friends used to avoid me because most of the time I touched them. They got a shock. Today I was going to charge my phone. When I plugged in the charger to my phone, it started charging automatically for a split second or two, then stopped. It was definitely weird. I don't know if this is paranormal, but this is definitely strange.